Okay, so our next review is going to be for the Benny Safdie film starring Dwayne the Rock Johnson, or maybe drop the Rock in this. This is a Dwayne Johnson performance we got here, not the Dwayne the Rock Johnson performance. We got the Smashing Machine. The Smashing Machine is a movie there where you have Dwayne Johnson who's playing Mark Kerr, a real life person. There, he was a UFC fighter. He was inducted also into the UFC Hall of Fame. And you have it where it kind of details his life there, specifically between the year of 1997 and 2000. You also have to suspend a lot of disbelief because in 1997, Mark Kerr was what, 29 years old, and The Rock obviously does
Yes.
not look 29 years old.
No, he does not.
Good. I mean, good looking guy. I mean, The Rock is
Sure, yeah.
good looking guy, but I mean, he's in his 50s and he looks like a guy, in his 40s, 50s, and that's okay. But yeah, he does not look like a 29-year-old guy there. But yeah, kind of details like his trials, tribulations, his time fighting in the UFC, the very early years of the UFC, like when it was kind of like it was basically almost no holds barred there. You had headbutts, you can eye gouge, you can, you know what I mean, do all kinds of knees to the head, all this bunch of stuff there before they started to really regulate it. And before it grew to now what we see today, which is a huge multi-billion-dollar industry today with the UFC. The movie even mentions that at the very end where they do the whole classic biopic text on the screen at the end, where they say like now the UFC has, the fighters now get paid millions of dollars to do it. They still probably not getting paid what they're worth given how much money the UFC generates, but that's another conversation there. But yeah, that's what you kind of have here about, just his time there fighting, and then especially with his, and also dealing with fighting, and then also with his relationship with his girlfriend Dawn Staples, who in this is played by Emily Blunt there. And you also have his best friend, who is Mark Coleman in this. That's the character's name. And then who's played by actually a real life fighter, Ryan Bader, who I believe is this is his debut, I believe, as an actor.
There's a lot of debuts in this.
Yeah. So, Dusk, what do you think, man? Smash Machine.
I'm gonna get the positives out of the way real quickly, because there are a lot of good positives. First of all, the makeup on The Rock and for Emily Blunt, really well done. Like, I can't tell you how good he looks, almost unrecognizable at certain points, and they did the best they could to make him look like Mark Kerr, and completely lands it. I think they did a great job on the makeup for them. I really love that a lot of the actors in here are real life MMA fighters and real life fighters, and some of them even play themselves. Which means you get a lot of, usually in Hollywood biopics, you get something like, oh, it's kind of fake fighting. No, a lot of the fighting in this is real. Knuckle down. I'm just gonna throw you to the ground and pound you until you tell me to stop. A lot of it is just awkward grapples and often that get to the ground, and eventually the ground pound, which eventually people surrender to, because absolutely, it's, if you can pin someone down and keep pounding them until they tell you to stop, that's the way you win in MMA. It's any rules go.
Mhm.
So I really appreciate that these fights are quick and they're brutal. They don't last very long. So none of this, not like in like a Rocky movie or in like a boxing where you go a couple of rounds and rounds. It's like, nah, this ends in like 5 minutes.
Mm. Yeah.
So,
Uh,
yeah.
because Mark Kerr, he has a wrestling background,
Yeah.
so his strategy usually is like take people to the ground, and that's why he's called the Smashing Machine, is because he'll smash the shit out of you. I
He
mean,
will. And he proves it.
yeah.
I appreciated this movie had a lot of grit. There was a lot of moments of surprising vulnerability from the characters, a lot of earnesty. That's usually something you don't get. It actually kind of reminded me a bit of The Wrestler
Mm.
in some ways. Uh, and I think The Rock, to my surprise, I think he did a pretty solid job in this movie. Is he a top-notch actor? No. But there are some like, he was able to sell some dramatic moments in there, and surprisingly tender moments between him and Dawn, and quite tender and even just very raw between them. And, of course, Emma Blunt, she's a she's an actress that we've seen many times, and we know she can act, but I think The
Mm,
Rock does a good job playing Mark Kerr. He does a pretty solid job. Is he maybe the best thing ever? No, but I it surprised me to the amount he was able to kind of get into character and stay within that character. This is probably the most dramatic acting I've seen him done, and
mm,
he did not bad. He did pretty good, all things considered.
yeah.
Uh, Honestly, I love the technical style of this film. They would have had it move and kind of be really kind of grainy, or use certain cameras to make it look like it was filmed in the 90s. I really appreciate that. You could even tell by the audio distortion and the way they used it. They tried to technically make it feel like it was that from a time period, almost like a period piece, and it really added to the atmosphere.
Mm,
Honestly, everything around it, the supporting actors, the fighting, all of it's really strong. The biggest problem with this movie is the script.
mm,
That's the biggest really problem with it. A lot of this movie unfortunately meanders.
mm,
There's a lot of meandering that goes around in this, and scenes that go on longer than they maybe should have, to end up being kind of like, "Yeah, you could have cut that," or the pacing is a little too, out of joints for what they wanna say, and even some of the scenes with Dawn, you kinda go, "Okay, well, where is this going? What is this leading towards?" They don't People don't really in this, there's no real arcs to say. They might be small, but there's no real full arc, and the way this movie ends, I'm not quite sure what it was trying to say. I can see where there's a point of it was like finding inner peace, and kind of eventually coming to terms with that and getting into it. I get that, but it just never felt like it quite earned it, and it kind of made the ending a little unsatisfactory in a way. And that's really what deterred my enjoyment of this, because the select scenes are really strong, but it's the script holding it together is unfortunately pretty weak.
mm. Okay. And Benny Safdie also wrote this movie as well.
Mm.
And Benny Safdie usually is part of a team. Him and his brother there. His brother's what? Josh Safdie, or
Uh,
got his brother's name there. But they did Good Time, and they also did Uncut Gems. And I love both movies. I love Good Time a lot. It's one of my
mhm,
favorite movies there, and I love Uncut Gems. And Uncut Gems actually even just recently on the, New York Times, like, best, films of the 21st century,
mm.
list there, so just shout out
Yeah,
to them for that.
it was a good movie.
And, this is another case, of brothers splitting off, because we talked about the Coen
Yeah.
brothers. They split
Yep, yep.
off there. Ethan Cohen, he split off and did 2 movies we didn't like.
Yeah.
And we talked about that with Honey Don't, his recent movie. And it'd be interesting because Josh Safdie also, he has a movie coming out this year, and I saw the trailer for that movie, before, this movie played, The Smash Machine. He's got a movie, Marty Supreme, with Timothy Chalamet, where he's like, ping pong or something, which is another it's a biopic as
Oh,
well. So
yeah.
let's see. It'll
We'll
be
see.
interesting to compare and contrast that one with this one. You mentioned The Rock, right? This
Yeah.
is the big thing about this movie is like it's showing The Rock. He's got it. He's a good actor. Does this movie show that? And does he prove that here? Um, I never thought The Rock was ever a bad actor. I just thought he
Mhm.
just didn't try. I mean,
Yeah.
and doing all these same movies, people
He
have that.
played to a type.
Yeah,
He played to what he felt was his strengths.
yeah, and there's that meme of him where he's wearing the same brown T-shirt, but it's in 4 different
Oh,
movies.
yeah, he stopped giving a crap a long time ago.
Yeah, but I believe he's capable of giving a good acting performance, and there's always people talking
Mhm.
about, like, who's the best wrestler turned actor, and is it Dave Bautista, is it John Cena, and people always go like, "Well, fuck The Rock." I mean, you know what I mean? He's way down at the bottom.
Mhm.
But I loved him in things like Pain and Gain. I think he was really good in that. I think he gives a great performance in that. There was a movie called, I believe it's called Faster. Um,
Oh, yeah, Faster, that was probably one of the few ones that, he was trying a little bit on.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind of a
yeah. It's a revenge movie.
revenge movie, kind of drive house type thing, but
Yeah.
he gives kind of a solid performance. It's a little bit better than you think in a movie like that.
Yeah, because it's very stoic, very to the point. He's a killing machine in that. He is
Mm,
on a mission. He's a man on a mission, and, it's one of the few movies that I'm glad you brought that up, because nobody really talks about Faster. I remember being kind of surprised, delightfully surprised with that movie when it came out, and nobody really kind of references it. And I was like, it's probably one of his better roles, and nobody really talks about it. He
Yeah.
fit to a purpose. Uh, but I thought with this one, like he really was a bit more passionate for this one. He was really trying.
Yeah. And he actually brought this idea to Benny Safdie
Mm.
because he had seen the documentary. Because there's a documentary that came out about Mark Kerr called "The Smashing Machine," and it's the title, same thing. So, and I think a lot of the movie is based on this documentary. Like, there's even
Mhm.
a opening monologue, or that The Rock gives as Mark Kerr that's straight ripped from this documentary. So, there's a lot of aspects and elements they take from that and put it into the movie there with this. And yeah, so it's a very good documentary. If anybody's never seen it, it's a really really good documentary there. But yeah, they do that. And he brought it to him and presented to him, and it was like, hey, I want to play this guy. And then after Benny Safdie saw the documentary, then he was like, oh yeah, I understand. I want to make this movie with you. But yeah, I mean, is The Rock going to get an Oscar nomination from this?
No,
Yeah, I mean, you answered
come
that
on,
quick, like no.
come on, no.
I mean, it's tough competition. I mean, I don't know, maybe he'll get, like, a Golden Globe, I don't know, maybe.
He might get a Golden Globe. They might get a nomination for makeup.
Yeah, for makeup or something like that, because he does, when he's got the hair and everything, he does look somewhat different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so, I mean, and I know this movie's not doing too well in the box office, and he responded. I think this movie had the lowest box office opening of his career.
Which is a shame.
um, which people were kind of roasting because he did respond to it on
Yeah.
Instagram, like he made a post about it. And I mean, this movie was never supposed to be like a blockbuster hit. I mean, it was supposed to be like, let me show you I can act type movie, not let me show you I can make
Yeah.
$600 million type movie. But I didn't want to interrupt you. You were gonna say something?
No, it's good.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so I don't understand why people really are roasting him for that. I mean, because it's like this is not the type of movie for that. But yeah, I do think he gives a good performance in this, and I think he does. Maybe this is proven to people who go like, "Man, The Rock is untalented." That he does got talent. He does have talent. He is kind of good at acting. He does care about the craft of acting and wants to do that. And he did physically transform. He put on 30 pounds of muscle for this role. And I just showed pictures earlier of the real life Mark Kerr, and that dude is, I mean, he was a beast. I mean, he was
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, he was, I think one of his other nicknames was called the specimen. I mean, because he was just so physically dominating there. You mentioned the writing in the movie.
Mhm.
Um, that's one of the things that really kind of drags it down,
Yeah.
which is a shame, because you do have a good solid performance from The Rock. Because the writing is bad to me because what Benny Safdie seems like what he's trying to do is he's trying to avoid all the pitfalls of your traditional biopic. It's
Mhm.
like I'm not going to just show the rise and fall of Mark Kerr and everything like that. And I think in doing that, like you said, it meanders and it kind of feels aimless at points. And I was like, okay, where are we really going here with things? For example, this is classic trope in a biopic is like sometimes you'll have a character that is struggling with drug addiction.
Mhm.
And you see them go through that. And with Mark Curry, he's struggling with an opioid addiction. There's a scene in the movie where he's walking into rehab. He's got a suitcase. He's walking into rehab. Then the next scene you see him, he's going out of rehab with the suitcase and go like, "Okay, I'm all better now." It's like, damn, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
Like, like what happened there? Like, and I understand they didn't want to, just kind of drag that on of
I kinda
seeing.
wish they had just focused on that.
I
I
think
know, I
just a
know,
little
I
bit
know.
more. I
Just a
guess.
little bit more, man.
Yeah, because like there's even a scene where Emily Blunt is calling his best friend and going like, he overdosed and he's on the ground. I couldn't wake him up. We never see that.
Yeah.
That would have been
We hear
something
about it.
we just hear about it, and that would have been something to actually, I think, see, and that would have made you feel something more there for like, oh, this guy's got a really bad addiction and he really can't stop. So yeah, things like that kind of going on. Also, the movie at the end, I mentioned the text on the screen.
Mhm.
It talks about how influential Mark Kerr was, and how he was able to do his negotiating. He was able to give better contracts for all the other UFC guys. I don't think that this movie gives a good idea of, like, why he was so influential in terms
Mhm.
of that, and why he was such this remembered
And
as,
why
like,
he's
this.
so respected.
Yeah, as this legendary fighter. I mean, we see him beating the shit out of people. We see
I mean,
that.
yeah, yeah, but he's respected in ways outside of being the smashing machine,
Yeah.
and
Uh,
that very much in the MMA scene, he's what, like, along with him and Coleman and various others, made MMA and UFC fighting what it is today.
mm,
Kinda created that precedence. That's the feeling that you get, or at least the respect that's kinda given for Mark Kerr. But in the movie, we never fully see it. We never see that until, like, kind of sort of we see it when he goes into rehab, but that's it. We really don't get to see much. In a weird way, it's because it's so condensed and kinda it meanders in the script, you never can gotta get a full grasp outside of those moments that you have with the character. They're solid, but it never rises above itself.
yeah. And like I said, it's afraid of going like, we don't wanna just do the traditional biopic thing, and, like,
Mhm.
you have his best friend in this, Mark Coleman,
Who literally
uh
goes on a redemption path.
yeah, who he has the classic, like, Rocky
Yeah.
biopic story, and he's like a family man, and he's the one that was because there's, like, a tournament they go to in Japan. He's, like, big over in
Yeah, the
Japan and,
2000.
yeah, Grand Prix, a
Yeah,
Pride Grand Prix,
yeah, Prague Grand
uh
Prix.
that they do, which is like this big fighting tournament in Japan, and the grand prize is $200,000, is what you win there. And
Mhm.
so, I mean, yeah, he has this family, and then he has like the reporters asking him, going like, "Well, aren't you a little over the hill? I mean, why are you still doing this?" Like, "Well, I got a family, and I'm good at it, so why not do this?" Like, it's like this should be a movie about Mark. It feels like this should be a
Yeah.
more movie about Mark Kerman than it should be about Mark
Even in
Kerr.
the documentary they talk about when, when something happens to Mark Carr and, he passes a baton, so to speak, to Coleman, he literally says, in the documentary, it says that he says, it's yours to, win now," or something
Mm,
around the effect. And it's that you're like, "Yeah." It
yeah.
feels like a passing of a torch in that moment. And it's like, yeah, we don't really get that in this. We don't it's like there are beats to have and still have the events that happen in real life that they're sticking to, but because of the meandering and the script writing, it kind of leaves on kind of an awkwardness that you kind of go, "So what was the point of this movie again? I
Yeah.
didn't have to that I couldn't just watch a documentary from 2002 besides the
And
performances?"
uh, and you like you can do the classic story there, but you can still it's about the execution of it. So I think it's about even if you
Yeah.
hit the same beats, it's all about the execution. Do you remember that movie? It's this isn't a biopic, but it's a MMA movie. Do you remember the movie Warrior?
I do, I recall it.
And in the movie Warrior there, if nobody's ever seen it, it's pretty good there. It's telling 2 Rocky stories again, but instead of just one person, it's 2 because it's Joel Edgerton and Tom Hardy. And you're rooting for the both of them because it's like, again, oh, damn, I forgot Frank Grillo was in this
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, yeah, 2011, man.
Yeah, Frank Grillo. But yeah, so it's like you have this dude who's like a teacher, so he's fighting for, I think he lost his job or he's fighting for his students or something, and he's fighting to make money. And then you have Tom Hardy who's like a military vet, and then he's fighting for his battle buddy's widow and everything. So it's like they both have things that they're fighting for. And yes, it's kind of corny and cliche, but it still works because of the execution of it that makes you really still go with it. And I think this movie's kind of afraid to kind of go like those things and subvert them because it's like, well, we don't want to be like every other movie, and it's like in doing that, you kind of just end up feeling like nothing. This feels like kind of hollow at points there. What'd you think about the relationship between Mark Kerr and Dawn Staples?
In one way, I'll say it's, I guess, nice to see in this kind of situation, they don't sugarcoat the fact that the movie kind of plays it in a way where it's usually in like a biopic. It's like, oh yeah, you have the love interest who's like the rock, ironically, like your pillar, helping you up. And throughout this, you're like, nah, dude, you need to get away from her. She 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 is not helping you. She has bad habits. She is putting pressures in on you. She is not helping you out. And I don't know how to feel with the ending and all that, and especially what happens in real life with them. And you're like, it's kind of bold of you to like be honest in a way, be like, yeah, they're like, yeah, she's got a lot of issues that she's not helping him with. And he's got his own issues, of course, but she's encouraging a lot of his bad behavior. She's like a devil on his shoulder
Mm.
at times, with Mark Coleman being the only one who's like trying to be the angel. Like Mark Coleman and I want to say his buddy Boss Rutten. He's
Yeah,
like
Boss Run is
Boss Rutten.
who's
He's like who's playing himself, and he's just like,
yeah.
dude, you need to stop. You need to
Um,
get some help, bro.
yeah, and he's a real life, yeah, UFC guy as well.
Oh yeah,
He's
he's built like it.
yeah, he's built like it, and he's been in some movies. He was in that, I think, Kevin James movie, Here Comes the Boom or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He was in that. Don't see that movie, but he was in that
No,
movie.
it's not good.
But yeah, he's here. But yeah, I mean, that relationship is terrible relationship. I mean, her motivation for why she was kind of doing some of the things that she was doing,
Mhm.
uh, didn't really make a whole lot of sense. I guess she's supposed to be a deeply troubled person.
We don't
Uh,
even explore that either.
yeah,
It's all it's like it both explores, but it's like you said, this movie's afraid of going too tropey, but it's also afraid of exploring. It brings up things and it dances around them and kind of talks about it a little bit, and it sticks its little toe into the water of where it can get a little more earnest. And then as soon as they even attempt to do that, they back away and we move on and meander some more.
yeah, uh, yeah.
Especially how things kinda end up, you're like, "So what was I supposed to take from this?" Nobody has, like, an arc, nobody has anything, so it's not very satisfactory when you find out, "Oh, that's what happened to them?" You're kinda surprised, you're like, "Oh."
I mean, so it doesn't really do a good job of showing the legacy of Mark Kerr. It doesn't really do the best of job as far as, I think telling the story and like, trying to subvert the of your traditional biopic, the expectations you have there. So what are you really left with? Like I think both of us are saying, you're left with a good performance by The
Yeah.
Rock and Emily Blunt, even though her character I think is a mess. I think Emily Blunt still is good and she does her best here. And it's mainly the Rock movie. I mean, he's carrying it through most of the time. You have Mark Coleman as well in this, who Ryan Bader, who's in it, who, like I said, this is his first performance. He does a decent job, I think, for his very first acting performance. I think he does fine there. But yeah, I mean, it's the Rock's movie mainly, and he carries it. He does
Mhm.
a good job at carrying it. I just wish the other movie went along with him there, and it not be too much left behind. Um, for me, I would give it a tune in, just a kind of a tune in for me. What would you give it?
Yeah, it's kind of it's like a low tune in. Uh,
Mm,
because I think it is a good enough feature to see in a theater, but it does need almost with an asterisk. It's like, see in a theater, but understand that it's fairly limited in its scope, and you'll see some elements that I think are interesting and worth seeing, but then other stuff you're just like, "Yeah, I wish you'd focus more on this," or, "I wish this was played differently." But before, we're done on this, I do wanna make it very clear, this movie doesn't really go over it, but I'm just gonna go over the how much Mark Kerr accomplished in his career.
mm,
Uh, in 1984, he won the gold World Cup for freestyle wrestling. He won the gold in 1994 and the silver in 92. When he went to Pan America Games, he got the silver in 95. When he went to submission wrestling, he won gold in 99, 2000, 2000, and 2001, an absolute super fight. And that was the world championships. And then when he did the NCAA division, he won the gold in Oklahoma City. He also won the gold in 1989, 91 in Bethlehem, 92 in Philadelphia, and 1988 in Syracuse EIWA championships. And for mixed martial arts, he won 15 fights. He fought 27 times, won 15, lost 11.
mm.
From that record, I can understand why this guy was such a huge, or at least impressive career. And then with this movie, you just kind of get he's like, oh yeah, no, he's impressive. He's the smashing machine.
Yeah.
And it's like, so yeah,
I
this
mean,
background might have helped a little bit.
yeah. I mean, the movie tells you at the end, it tries to make up, it does, like I said, the text and goes like, "Hey, here's all the other stuff he did, and here you go." And it's like,
Like,
"Oh,
yeah, you
okay,"
put that in the front of the movie.
you know, or at least tell it in the movie.
Yeah.
Show some scenes of that.
Oh, also, he and Don got divorced in 2015.
Yeah, yeah. The movie talks about that at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was like, oh yeah, yeah, of course, yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I'm like,
there was
yeah.
no other way
What
that
was
was gonna
seen?
work.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner.
Um, but yeah. So you give it a low tune in. I just gave it a
Yeah,
plain tune in for it. Um, yeah. So keep. I mean, he's got another movie with Benny Safdie, The Rock. He's gonna be in a movie called the Chicken Man,
yeah. Why
something like
not?
that.
Right?
He dropped a bunch of weight, so that's
Oh
why people.
yeah, he's like old man now.
Yeah. So people were kind of worried, like, oh man, something happened to The Rock and he's
I
sick or
stopped
something.
juicing.
Yeah, and I think he also lost weight for this. Yeah, for the new role he's doing
Yeah,
for the
yeah. He
yeah
stopped juicing and he lost weight.
yeah. So.
Who'd know you go through withdrawals if you stop juicing?
Huh. So yeah, that was our thoughts there.
Mhm.
Smash Machine.
The
Uh,
Smash Machine.